Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Javier with The Real Javier Novoa. Please subscribe and like to our channel so that we can get this message out to as many people as possible. Also, we're doing coaching calls where I will craft a personalized plan for your rapid lifestyle development. We'll talk about that. They've been taking off in the last few weeks. I am very excited about it. Please email me at Javier_Novoa and I will put a link in the description at hotmail.com. And we will go into this more. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a very exciting video today, and it's going more into this aspect of how emotions and feelings create reality and what we should do with our emotions and feelings. Do not suppress your emotions and feelings. Once you release the feeling, all good things come and you pop right into your state. So some people were talking about, we did have a video last week about Marianne Williamson running for president, and she is a well-known spiritual teacher. And there were some articles about her very mercurial behavior and her very emotional mood swings. And they actually said that one day she banged on a car door, or she banged on a car window 4 years ago so much and for so long that she had to be hospitalized. She was very angry. And people are asking, how can a person who purports to be a spiritual teacher erupt in such anger? Aren't spiritual people supposed to be calm, and aren't they supposed to be tranquil all the time? And this is a huge misconception because people misunderstand the role and meaning of emotions, and they misunderstand what we're trying to do. Because people are trying to put on a front for the public, they have this preconceived concept and notion of what spiritual is supposed to be. Krishnamurti talked about this, where we bring our preconceived notions and judgments and then turn these teachings into a concept, and therefore they're just simply a snapshot and are no longer the truth. For the truth cannot be simply grabbed into a snapshot, because reality is three-dimensional and fourth-dimensional, ladies and gentlemen. It's not flat. So I want to go into this and more, because there's still a lot of misconceptions that I'm hearing from the students and that I just see in the general atmosphere of the internet and so on about people who have misconceptions of these things. It's a misconception, ladies and gentlemen, that you have to be calm and tranquil all the time. Even in Stoicism, people have often had this notion that Stoics do not have emotions, they're simply calm and tranquil. We can look at the lives of people like Seneca, and it would refute this. Whenever you have these misconceptions, it's always good to actually look at the lives and practices of people who are held up to be representatives of that philosophy, or representatives of that paradigm. So if you look at spiritual teachers like Esther Hicks, who channels Abraham Hicks, and if you look at people like Marianne Williamson, and you look especially at people like Osho, these are people that I know of and have observed. These people are not tranquil people in their everyday lives, and you would think they would know this. It's for the fact that spirituality does not equal being tranquil. In fact, we came here, ladies and gentlemen, into this physical realm from the non-physical in order to experience these disturbances. Because when you experience an emotional disturbance and then you're able to go back to that tranquility, it is a metaphor for going back from the multiplicity to the tranquility. And oh, that is such a beautiful feeling. So you have to experience these negative emotions, or these nervous emotions, or even anxiety or worry and so on, so that you can feel what that feels like and then be able to return to the unity. Otherwise, we would be bored. And people even say when they feel negative emotion, they feel alive. So, we're not even seeking to be spiritual, though, on this channel. As I went into on my spiritual rant a few months ago, I'm not seeking some kind of an enlightenment. And I don't think you are either, because those people who have gone into this deeply realize that there's no enlightenment. As Abraham Hicks says, it's not like a college degree when once you have it forever. You have to keep clicking into your alignment at every moment. And it's every moment and adjusting to every moment and reacting to it appropriately that these teachings are going to help you do. And indeed, it's going to turn you into the person who doesn't need a teaching, but rather knows that any reaction is the appropriate reaction at that moment. Do you sort of follow me? Well, As we know, emotions are indicators of where we are vibrationally. And in this course and in this system, we separate thoughts and feelings. Thoughts plus feelings are emotions, but it's circular, it's a system. The thought causes a feeling, and a feeling causes a thought. So we don't know what comes first, the feeling or the thought. But what you can do is you can observe a thought and observe a feeling, and therefore it becomes something physical. So while emotions are indicators of where you are in relation to the vibration that you want to perpetuate, feelings are not, because feelings are simply physical. And as Joe Dispenza said, they speak nothing of your future. But I want to go a little bit deeper into this so that people will understand. In this modality, in the modality of manifestation, Neville Goddard expressed the concept, I think, the most cogently. He calls it a state. And we talk about this a lot in this channel, getting into state. When we want to bring something about in the physical, or when we want anything, when we have a desire, let's say we're in prison and we have a desire to be free from prison. The basic metaphysical teaching for creation and for manifestation is you attain the state of the thing that you desire, which means that you ask yourself, how would it feel were I to attain that desires? And these are not simply emotions, although emotions are included with it. It is all the emotional and feeling and physical feelings and sights and sounds and the whole surrounding of what it would feel like to attain that intention. So all of those are included in this. So when you feel better, obviously, you want to get into a state because you think you will feel better in the having of it. And indeed, when you embody that, you do feel better. So when you get into your state, you will feel better. And your feelings and emotions at that point are indicators of where you are. It does not follow that when you do not feel good, you are not receiving your state. You're going to receive your state anyway. And you can get into the state at any time that you wish. Am I making myself a little bit clear? So from that standpoint, it doesn't matter how you feel. You want to feel good simply because that is your natural desire to feel better, and it's your natural striving, if I can use that word, although that's not a very good word. It is your natural inclination to want to feel better. And if you do not get in your own way, you will ascend that emotional scale and feel better. We did do a video on the emotional scale. And basically, there are techniques and tools that you can use to ascend that scale and to feel better. But what happens when I'm in a negative emotion and I can't get out of it? First of all, never suppress an emotion, because suppressing an emotion in itself will simply cause that emotion to go down into the subconscious, and then it will be triggered at a time that you can't control. Rather, if you simply let that emotion out at that time, it's out of your system for that time. And then you won't have to deal with it later. And the more you have to deal with it, then it starts to alter your physiological system. So it's bad for your mental health, it's bad for your physical health, and it actually pushes your manifestations away in time and space. People say, I must not have that negative thought, I must not have that negative feeling. That suppression in itself is what I call a compounded negative feeling, because now you're feeling negative about a negative feeling, and it simply becomes a stronger field, and therefore that pushes your desires away from you, because it pushes your ability to get into the state of your desire away from you. Are we making ourselves clear here? So just look at successful people. Now the question is, why do successful people seem so mercurial? People are saying we should definitely not try to have Marianne Williamson in the White House because she's so crazy. But look at Trump also. He would explode and drop F-bombs at people and throw tantrums, but no one would argue that he's a very successful man. So first of all, you don't have to feel good all the time for success. That's just an empirical fact, okay? Second of all the successful people I know of have huge tempers, they explode, and they do it because there's really no impediment to them doing so. And so this is healthy. Most of us have been trained by society that we cannot explode, that we cannot let our emotions out because of the fact that there would be negative repercussions. And that may be true to some extent, but you should find an outlet to let your negative emotions out. For example, Boris Berezovsky, who was a very successful man and knower of this material, there was a story about him. His secretary came into the room and he threw a phone at him. He was so angry at that time. So why is this that successful people are so mercurial? Well, ladies and gentlemen, Abraham Hicks and other spiritual teachers talk about the gap. And it's up to you in life to decide how big you want that gap to get. When you want something and you don't believe it because you have no idea how you can attain it, you've never done it before, maybe no one's ever done it before, the gap between your desire and your belief becomes bigger. And the bigger that gap is, the more negative emotions when you think about that desire. How successful people handle this is that they throw a tantrum, they allow their negative feelings out, and then they get to work on bridging that gap. How unsuccessful people do this is they look at that gap and they're so afraid, but they don't allow all of their emotions to come out and to play out completely, because they say, oh, I must not have this negative emotion, or oh, it's not okay for me to be angry or upset. This is what differentiates the successful and the unsuccessful people. And then what a lot of people do is they don't even generate that gap. So they say, you know what, I'm just going to desire generally. I want to live a nice life and I want things to come to me. And that's fine as well. That's spiritual as well. But I don't think that's what the students in our course want. We want to create massive creations. We want to do things that we have no idea how to do for the excitement and the fun of it. And we want to experience all those emotions, because you came here, ladies and gentlemen, to experience all those emotions. So, how do we deal with this? You don't want to stay in a negative emotion, but you do not want to suppress them. So there are two options for dealing with this, two main options. One of them is to try to move up the emotional scale. And this involves reaching for a negative emotion that's a little bit higher from the negative emotion that you're at. For example, if you're depressed, anger is a great step up from that, because anger gives you more control. So get angry. If you want to punch something, punch something. If you need to yell at somebody or cuss someone out, don't get yourself into trouble. But if you can do it without getting yourself into trouble and without permanently damaging your relationships, do that. And do not think that I cannot do this because I'm on the spiritual path. Because all of the spiritual teachers at one point or the other got very angry. Look at Krishnamurti. Look at Osho. Look at all of these people. So do not suppress them, and do not be afraid to take steps up that emotional scale. Don't think I have to feel good all the time, because trying to feel good all the time is a negative experience. The second thing that you can do is live out that emotion and just observe it right there and right now. The great business writer and entrepreneur Trevor Blake, who knows these principles, says in his courses to go out into the woods and scream every once in a while. Or go out into a lake where there are no people and scream, ah! Because you're going to get that emotion out, and once all of that emotion is out of your body, then what remains is peace, and then you can focus upon what you want to focus upon and what you need to focus upon. Basically, these emotions are stuck energy. Eckhart Tolle calls it a pain body. And when you try to oppose the pain body, you simply give it more energy. And it's just perpetuated as a cycle in your life. So let those emotions out. Go out and scream. You can even scream into a pillow. And another very good aspect of this, if you have persistent negative emotions, is to do what Joe Dispenza recommends. He has a whole meditation for this, but it need not take that long a time. You can simply confess it and release it. So let's say you've been an angry person. You can say, you know what? I've been an angry person, and I'm feeling angry, and I'm angry because this and that. I'm angry because I think someone's hurt me. And just let all of that out and confess it. And once you confess it, you're able to let it go. The whole point here, ladies and gentlemen, it is false that you do not have emotions if you're spiritual. It's false that you need to feel good all the time. If you practice these principles, you will feel good at least 60 or 70% of the time. And as Abraham Hicks says, if you feel good that much of the time, you're going to be like a miracle worker, because the energy is going to be flowing through you, the inspiration is going to be flowing through you. But I know people who for years have been doing this. I know people who for years have been meditating. I know people who for years have been imagining, but they have not gotten this point about letting your emotions flow through you and not suppressing your emotions, and their success has been hampered by that. Don't do that, ladies and gentlemen. You do not have to feel good to bring everything into your life that you want. It has nothing to do with that. You can get into state right now without feeling good. Of course, feeling good will eventually come, but you don't have to feel good to imagine your wish fulfilled. You don't have to feel good to feel that visceral feeling as being surrounded by what you wish to create. So don't try to. Of course, we recommend that when you get up in the morning, you try to meditate and you try to get into that good feeling wave, and then no negative emotions will be able to affect you. But once that happens, and once it does, you need to get into letting it flow mode. You need to get into what we can call beast mode, and just let those emotions flow, let them out, don't suppress them. So this has been, I think, a very powerful video for a lot of people in our community who think that you have to feel good all the time. You don't. Don't suppress your emotions, let them out, and just focus on your state, and you have it now in the spiritual, and it will manifest very soon on the physical. So until very soon, please subscribe and like to our videos. We have a lot of new videos coming out this week about rapid lifestyle transformation. And again, I'm very excited about the coaching calls. Drop me an email and we'll talk. Until very soon, thank you so much. With much love and appreciation, this is Javier. I'll see you soon.